Hey guys, Greg here on the Vinyl Rundown. Today marks my triumphant return to the vinyl community and making videos again. And I've been out of it for 3 or 4 months. I've gone through some personal stuff and haven't been listening to that many records, and actually listen to a lot of classical music. But anyway, here we are in the quarantine times, and it looks like Dylan of Noble Records started a thread, a new vinyl tag 2020, the Quarantine Edition, which I think is a good idea. And I saw Mazzy did a video on this the other day, so I got my camera out, and here we are doing my first video in months. By the way, for quarantine time, I made a series of 4 videos on virtual crate digging. If you can't get your fill of getting out to the store, check out those videos. It's just a close-up of a crate and fingers going through the records in a crate. Maybe the 2020 Quarantine Edition is a better idea. Hey, I gave it a shot. Alright. Where's the paperwork? I've already lost the paperwork for this thing. Oh, here it is. Sorry. 20 questions, which is too many for me. I don't have time to go finding 20 records. So I'm only going to do the questions that I feel like doing. But thanks to Dylan at Noble Records for putting this together, coming up with the idea. One of the best channels in the vinyl community, and he's got a great record store, Noble Records. Okay, favorite record from your home state or city? Well, I'm from St. Louis. I've lived in LA 40 years. LA is too easy. St. Louis is actually hard. Instead of talking about St. Louis, I'm going to talk about the suburb of St. Louis that I lived in that none of you have heard of. And this is Head East, Flat as a Pancake, one of those classic rock anthem things from the early 70s. And I lived in a little suburb called Olivet, Missouri, and right across from my house was a place called the Right Way Diner. This is a little diner across the street from my house in St. Living, and it's where the band took the picture, and it's a true greasy spoon restaurant. I used to go up there and get bacon and eggs. When I was a kid, I only lived there, I was probably 10 or 12 or 13 last time I was there. But Head East, Flat as a Pancake. Okay, what's next? I gotta get through these quick, guys. An album we highly recommend. Love and Mercy. I don't recommend this album because I haven't heard it. Well, why are you talking about it, Greg? Well, I recommend the movie, the biopic about Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys. Oh, shit. Please hold. Stuff fell down. It's okay. Oh, paperwork. My first video in months, guys. Give me a break. I'm trying to get back in the saddle. Brian Wilson, Beach Boys, the story of sort of his creative genius, but also his descent into mental illness, and he got hooked up with this unscrupulous psychotherapist played by Paul Giamatti. Crazy psychotherapist who was really treated Brian Wilson very poorly, and there was a lot of lawsuits to get them uncoupled, let's say. So check out the movie. I got the record. I haven't listened to it yet. It's still sealed. Record store day. Maybe the record's great. Haven't heard it yet. A tip for beginner. Beginner what? Beginner YouTubers or beginner collectors? Beginner YouTubers, work on your audio quality. You will not have good quality if you are recording what's called an in-camera microphone. You just turn your camera on and talk right into whatever's built in your camera. I've got a shotgun microphone. The Takstar, I'm going to give you the brand. You can buy this on eBay. It's $29. The Takstar SGC508. Takstar is spelled T-A-K. It's a cheap Chinese plastic microphone. You want to spend $200 on an American one? Feel free. The whole attitude about buying stuff from China has changed a little bit, but shotgun microphone means it's mounted on the top of the camera. The camera has a hot shoe and it's pointing at my face like a shotgun. I'm talking into it right now. It's probably really loud. You can adjust the gain. You can do that in your camera. Anyway, better audio. We don't want this echoey audio. I don't always watch videos that sound terrible because they're hard to understand. Okay, first record that got me deeper into music. When I was a kid, I was into the Beatles and the Stones and Hendrix. Very much into Eric Clapton. First instrumental I really got into, I kind of realized I'm more into the guitars than the singing. So, Jeff Beck, Blow by Blow. It's kind of a jazz fusion thing. It's rock, it's jazz, it's both. It's not really jazz, but it's instrumental. Jeff Beck had his jazzy period. What's on here? Produced by George Martin and Max Middleton on keyboards. And I think Stevie Wonder makes an uncredited cameo on here. But if you're new to jazz, if you're not sure you like jazz, but you like rock, Jeff Beck is a good bridge to get you from jazz to understanding rock a little bit. Let me check this again. There's a song called Thelonious, about Thelonious Monk. Freeway Jam. Alright. Anyway, there you go. Jeff Beck. Okay. An obscure record that people don't know about. What did I do with it? You guys have never heard of this guy. A Swedish jazz piano player named Esbjörn Svensson. And this is a jazz trio. He uses his name Esbjörn Svensson Trio, EST for short. Kind of clever. Kind of very driving, modern, but piano jazz. You know, it's not old-fashioned. But it's very cool. I just started to get into him. Nice packaging on this, by the way. Eyeballs. This record's called Viaticum. I just started to get into him and found out that he died in a tragic scuba accident. And I believe his young son actually found his body after they searched for it for a while. Tragic story. Talented young musician. Esbjörn Svensson Trio. From Sweden. Okay, a group that you collect all the albums. I've answered this question a million times. Okay, my son does it for Queen. You can't do it in jazz. Number 7, a band whose second album is better than their first album. Again, you can't do that in jazz because that's not how bands work in jazz, in my opinion. Please don't argue. Whack-a-mole. Let's do a whack-a-mole. I'm in the back room here, guys. This is just kind of classical and a few other obscure things. I got, 10 times as many records in the main room, so this is going to be a mini whack-a-mole. I'm going to go for this cube down here because this cube is not classical. These top 2 are classical. So let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. Surprise. Oh my goodness. To Kill a Mockingbird soundtrack. Elmer Bernstein. The Citadel label. I think they only made a couple records. So not a well-known record album per se, but To Kill a Mockingbird, one of the classic American movies and American books. And there's all this cool symbolism in this little sort of treasure chest that the little boy had. Or was it the little girl? The doggy, the glasses, the dolly, the penknife, the crayon. It's an important scene in the movie. I just happened to notice that. Alright. And we saw that on the big screen recently in one of these revival things. So it was great that my son was able to see that on the big screen, black and white, a couple years ago. What album did you listen to most in your entire life? I'm going to probably have to say Abbey Road. Darker, lighter. When I was a kid, I was very into the Beatles, Hendrix, Clapton, Stones. And I had my own stereo in my room, even from about 4th grade on. And I would put the Beatles' Abbey Road on repeat all night long, from like 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. Listen to side 2 maybe 1 million times, and maybe side 1 500,000 times. I think it's a masterpiece. I mean, I love a lot of Beatles albums, but I didn't have all the Beatles albums when I was a kid. I had the red and the green, blue, compilation thingies. I only had a few of the original studio albums when I was that young. Abbey Road. Okay, an album with a crazy story. It's not that crazy, but do you know the story behind Sonny Rollins' The Bridge? First of all, Props to Sonny Rollins. We gotta start talking about Sonny Rollins because he is the greatest living jazz musician from all the way back to the 78 RPM era. He turns 90 this year on September 7th, so props to Sonny Rollins. 1959, he had rocketed to stardom and was like, I need to work on my chops. I'm not as good as everybody says I am. I don't know what gave him this inferiority complex because he's one of the greatest sax players of all time. But he took a hiatus and left music for 3 years. He, from 59, 60, 61, he went and stood on the Williamsburg Bridge. He could walk there from his house in New York. And he would stand out on this middle of this bridge and play 10, 15 hours a day, every day, working on his chops. He already had great chops. I don't know why he thought he needed to do this. But anyway, his return to music was his first studio album, The Bridge, 1962, I think. There's a tune called The Bridge, God Bless the Child. It's kind of a standard. Jim Hall on guitar. But the great Sonny Rollins on his way to turning 90. And that is the story behind The Bridge. There's a thing called the Sonny Rollins Bridge Project. And they've got an Instagram account, a website. They're trying to get the Williamsburg Bridge renamed the Sonny Rollins Bridge. Look that up. Help them out. Sonny. Okay, what's next? You're collecting pet peeve. It's a record store pet peeve. The now playing section. Some record stores don't do the now playing. And you got to go up and say, what record is this? And just put it in the now playing thing. Come on, that's what it's for. You don't even have one? Come on. What really bugs me is, what record is this? I love this. This sounds great. Where can I get it? Oh, we don't have it for sale. You don't have it for sale. Why are you playing it? Oh, it's my personal copy, man. Well, why don't you play that Tuesday morning when nobody's in the store? It's Saturday afternoon. The store's packed. And you're not using the now playing as a way to move the merchandise? A lot of these record store guys, they don't get business. I wish them well. I hope they're successful, but we don't need more record stores going out of business. Why don't you sell some freaking records while you're up there? Literally, this has happened to me many times. Okay, I'm going on the Amazon and buying it. I would have bought it. Well, this is my personal copy. It's worth $200. Well, play it on your own time, dude. That's my pet peeve. I've probably done videos on that before. An album or genre people would be surprised to know you like. You would be surprised to know that this is even a genre. Choral music. A choral, a chorus, a big group of people singing, unaccompanied. No instruments, just 10 or 20 or 50 voices singing. This is a really, classical, pre-classical, pre-Baroque. Recently at the Goodwill, somebody donated dozens of choral records, and I bought 2 or 3. Thomas Tallis Singers, very famous group in England. Thomas Tallis Spim in Alium, his most famous piece. We're talking stuff from the 1500s and 1600s, ancient stuff. If you're into choral music today, besides Thomas Tallis, you've got John Dowland, William Byrd, and you've got the new composer Arvo Pärt, the Estonian guy with the beard. Okay, chorus or choral music. And, Bach wrote a bunch of it. Okay, a record from the year you were born. Mingus's classic, Black Saint and the Sinner Lady. I just got this reissue. It is an authorized Verve reissue, Impulse. You like the back there? How about the front? What year? I'm not telling. Look it up. I'm old. The record is old. You don't need to know, but it is from the same year I came from. Okay. Album with crazy artwork. What happened to that record? Rodney Allen Greenblatt is the artist who did this first album cover for They Might Be Giants. Very whimsical, primitive, almost childlike. People thought this was a kid's record. Look at some of the details on here. He's gone on to do a lot of kid stuff, books, animations, but back then he and They Might Be Giants were virtually unknown. So I think he did this as a spec piece for free for them. But I think I had a poster of his when I was a kid. Cool stuff. Rodney Allen Greenblatt. I got 2 of these. because my son who loves Devo said, you got to show this one. Alright, is this X-rated? This is actually photography by Moshe Bracha, Israeli guy. And he's got guys wearing fake prosthetic boobs, black and white. Devo Hardcore Volume 2. Very interesting photography. Moshe Bracha. 10-inch record. What's your opinion of 10-inch records? Well, guess what? 78 RPM era, mostly 10 inches, but not all. Some are 12 inches. 78 RPM era. I should have got a 78, but I didn't. 78 RPM era will go down in history as being more significant and artistically important than the LP era. That's my opinion, and in 300 years you can check the critics and see if I'm right or not. But the one I just happen to have on my shelf here was Tom Lehrer, the comedy singer, satirist, and this has the Old Dope Peddler, and hilarious Tom Lehrer. Judge Raps Match Happy Jr. This is very bizarre. This is Decca. This is Decca English. Very nice quality vinyl. Very stiff, stable vinyl. Anyway, 10-inch. An interesting fact about an album or song. Thelonious Monk, one of his greatest compositions, Brilliant Corners. This is from 1957 with Sonny Rollins, Max Roach, and others, Paul Chambers. Turns out the tune itself, Brilliant Corners, so complicated the musicians could get through it. They actually did 25 takes, which is astronomical for a jazz tune. Most jazz tunes are done in 2, 3, 4 takes. But 25 takes, they still didn't get it right. And the producer, is this Orrin Keep News, I think? The producer actually had to edit together different takes. So the recording, the studio recording, is not a take. It's edited from multiple takes. And the bass player, Oscar Pettiford, he was caught faking it because he couldn't even play the track. It was too complicated for him. This happened to me when I was in high school jazz band. It's very embarrassing. That was a recording session. Greg, can we hear your guitar part just by itself? I don't know the part. It's too complicated. Very embarrassing, but glad to hear a great guy like Oscar Pettiford could have the same problem. Okay, an album with an animal on the cover. I don't know. Who cares? I'm going out of order here. I'm skipping to number 20, most recent finds. Got this for my lovely, beautiful wife for a present recently. The Cure. She had this in the original and lost it. Now it's getting kind of expensive, so I bought this for, it was probably Valentine's Day or something like that, just a few weeks ago. The Cure, Big Boys, not Big Boys, just Boys. Boys Don't Cry. That's my most recent find. Guys, thank you for hopefully coming back to see me on YouTube on the Vinyl Rundown. I've been away for a long time. I'm going to try to get back on my feet and get back into making videos and watching more of your videos. So thanks for watching. Please consider subscribing, notifications, all the usual stuff. And thanks to Dylan at Noble Records for putting this together. And enjoy your quarantine. Oh, I gave myself a haircut yesterday, guys. What do you think? I think $40 is too much for what I can do myself in the bathroom. So, just saying. Take it easy, guys.